Oh man, the fact that we can actually go out there and start to make side plots about this is hilarious. It's maybe an invasion of privacy, but it's hilarious nonetheless for us fans to be able to make narratives out of these little pieces of information. So we're going to be talking about this potential drama that may or may not exist. You can debate amongst yourselves if it actually is real, or if it's just a normal human experience of letting go of somebody from your past. And we're also going to talk about the Edmonton Oilers, because, hey, guess what? Tristan Jarry just got injured yesterday. And the Vancouver Canucks happen to have a goalie or two that maybe should be traded, who really knows? Now, a few days ago, we made a video talking about the potential drama between Thatcher Demko and Tyler Myers of the Vancouver Canucks. If you had seen that video commentary, you would know that part of the reason we were bringing that word up, drama between Tyler Myers and Demko, was because of the NHL Follow Tracker Twitter account. It's an account on Twitter that dives into the followings and unfollowings of NHL players. And it's ran by some sort of a bot. It's not a human being going out there and doing all this manually, oh no. It's definitely automated, and it allows us fans to see which accounts NHL players are following and unfollowing right in the moment. And it was interesting because the other day we saw that Tyler Myers had unfollowed Thatcher Demko on Instagram. Shortly after that, the Vancouver Canucks on their own Twitter page started posting pictures of Myers and Demko celebrating the win together, walking to the arena together, almost like it was a direct response to all the discourse going on social media saying, hey, wait a minute, Tyler Myers unfollowed Demko on Instagram. Why? Is there beef? Do these guys not like each other? But if you remember that video, we introduced the NHL Follow Tracker Twitter account by talking about former Vancouver Canucks defenseman Nikita Zadorov, who, unexplainably, ended up unfollowing Quinn Hughes on IG the day the Hughes trade was finalized. And this was seen as a pretty interesting deal. Hey, wait a minute. Nikita Zadorov was somewhat of a fan favorite in Vancouver in his limited sample with the team. Quinn Hughes was obviously his captain, so on the day that Quinn gets sent away, it's kind of funny that Nikita Zadorov ends up unfollowing the guy. Now, I will say, kind of funny side assessment here, 2 days later, on December 16th, you had Minnesota Wild forward Kirill Kaprizov following both Quinn Hughes and Nikita Zadorov, updated around the same time on the NHL Follow Tracker. This is obviously not that big of a deal. Kirill Kaprizov is following firstly his new teammate, and then he's also following one of his countrymen. Maybe there's a link there, of course. But the Quinn Hughes and Nikita Zadorov story ended up getting a lot more interesting when yesterday we got ourselves the update that Quinn Hughes started following an individual named Josephine Malek, and he also unfollowed Nikita Zadorov in response. Now, this has been quite the problematic aspect of the NHL Follow Tracker as it stands right now, because obviously the first person that Quinn Hughes followed on this post, Miss Josephine, that's not an NHL player. And in fact, it's one of these accounts that I think belongs to a model or something like that. This Twitter account with all the following updates might actually get a little invasive, because every few minutes there seems to be another NHL player that's following a whole bunch of models. And guys that get traded to new cities, like Quinn Hughes, end up going on these huge sprees where they follow a whole bunch of ladies in one small amount of time. I mean, I don't want to say it's not understandable, but it's like, wow, the fact that we have a portal to be able to view all of this stuff almost in real time is quite remarkable. But of course, all following models aside, Quinn Hughes unfollowing Nikita Zadorov did get a lot of fans kind of giggly at what's going on here. Is there any beef? I'd probably assume not, but it is quite interesting. Oh yeah, you unfollow me? Well, guess what? I'm gonna unfollow you right back. No need to pay attention to your life and your story. if you don't want to pay attention to mine. And I think that's kind of social media etiquette nowadays, especially for a lot of us who have grown up in school. You went to college or high school in the 2010s, early 2020s. Yeah, sometimes you lose touch with people, but you don't really unfollow them unless they unfollow you first. Either that, or if you really just didn't like the guy, then you can unfollow them. Like Tyler Myers has apparently done to Thatcher Demko, which is, maybe tongue-in-cheek. Maybe it's just a joke. I'd assume it's a joke, considering the fact that they're still walking to the arena together and having these fun moments. But speaking about that old Thatcher Demko, I wanted to bring up another talking point that a lot of Canucks fans had seemed to be dabbling in over the past few hours. Because yesterday, as we mentioned, the Edmonton Oilers ended up defeating the Boston Bruins 3-1. It was a tight game, and ultimately the Oilers got the dub, but they did so with 2 goalies in net. You see, Tristan Jarry, after stopping 12 of 13 total shots against, ended up hurting himself when he pushed from one side of the net to the other partway through the second period. And it was Cal Pickard who ended up ending the game for the Edmonton Oilers. He stopped all 12 shots that he had faced, and now the Oilers have a goaltending problem. Now, look, I'll say this. I'm recording this video on the night of Thursday, December 18th. I don't know if Jarry is going to be available for the Oilers soon, but I have seen a lot of Canucks fans bring up the idea that says, hey, wait a minute. The Oilers need a goalie, and fast. Vancouver has 2 of them, in both Demko and Kevin Lankinen. Why not dangle one of these guys over to the Oilers to try and convince them to rid Vancouver of all this salary being spent in between the pipes? I think a lot of Canucks fans are now starting to regret the way the Vancouver Canucks handled their goaltending situation the past year, where Demko was going to be on the books for $8.5 million starting next season till the end of 2029, and Kevin Lankinen is on till 2030 at $4.5 million. I mean, they've got $9.5 million invested into their goaltending this year. That ups to $13 million the next 3 years after that. It is not an ideal situation for a team that is supposedly in a rebuild. And for Thatcher Demko, the talent profile that he has, how good he has been, how good he can be, the fact that he is a high ceiling, low floor kind of guy, because you just don't know how healthy he's going to be. Thatcher Demko has been placed amongst the absolute pinnacle of Vancouver Canucks that we need to pay attention to, that may or may not be the absolute driving force behind the results the Canucks get in this rebuild. If the Canucks fail to get a top draft pick, honestly, you can say Thatcher Demko might be to blame. You can say, he's good enough to will this team away from all the losing they would be subjected to otherwise. And if he sticks around with this team and he stays healthy, he could win a lot of games for the Vancouver Canucks. But then again, it's like, hey, the guy signed on with trade protection in the years after, and he doesn't have that trade protection right now. Why would you go out there and sour the relationship with Demko and the agent by sending him away to a team that he maybe wouldn't have wanted to commit to? But then again, that's the business, right? If Demko goes over to a team like Edmonton, for example, and he ends up sticking around there, he's a number 1 guy for the Oilers, honestly, I'd say that team could win a cup. But Demko needs to be healthy, that's the thing. Kevin Lankinen, I'd say, is better than a Stu Skinner. He's better than a Cal Pickard. Is he better than a Jarry? I don't know. But there still is that desperation that you can say Vancouver could prey upon and potentially linger around when it comes to the Edmonton Oilers at this point, depending on, of course, the verdict on Tristan Jarry and his health status. So if this video comes out and Jarry is deemed A-okay, he's able to play and he's not hurt at all, then okay, we'll look like fools here. But for a very brief moment, at least, on Thursday, December 18th, there has been a conversation amongst Canucks fans that maybe a Demko or a Lankinen should be heading over to Edmonton. Vancouver has themselves the Islanders later today, and Demko is slated to start, so if he has another good game, then okay, that trade value is going to go up, baby. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about these Canucks ideas. Zadorov, Hughes, is there drama there, or are we just making a big deal out of people unfollowing each other on Instagram? And what are your thoughts on the idea of a Demko or a Lankinen trade to Edmonton? Let me know in the comments all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on. and bye.